All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Cabinelli. I am your co-host, Christopher Andrew,
And I'm Deja, aka Day McClay.
and welcome to another episode. We're gonna talk about some deep stuff today. We're gonna dive deep into a topic that Baby wanted to talk about the past week or so. She brought this up to me not too long ago, saying that she felt like it would be a really good discussion to have. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna dive deep into some spirituality stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So the name of this, the name of this podcast is going to be "Spiritual Psychosis is a hill I did not want to die on," and that's valid. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is just because not only did I experience it, we experienced it as a couple ourselves. In this time period that we're living in right now, I witnessed a lot of spiritual psychosis online as well. So I feel like this is something that needs to be discussed, especially in our community, in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Definitely, that's something that I feel like is important. Some people may think. Well, I feel like a lot of people feel like spirituality is important. So it's a good thing to start off. So first thing we want to talk about is I'm gonna ask my baby first, and I'll go after her. Is how would you define what spirituality is?
Mm, so personally, I define spirituality as the connection or the connection and balance between your mental, physical, and spiritual self. So spirituality is you doing whatever you deem as necessary in your own methods and practice to find some type of balance within yourself. Um, and also to align that with nature as well. So that can be through religion if you choose to still stay within that. But overall, I like my perception of spirituality is you know, like I said, finding connection and balance within yourself and with nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would. My definition would be similar to hers. I pick back off of that as well. I think it's also like whatever you believe in when it comes to like something more than yourself or higher than yourself. Whether you believe in like Christianity or anything like that, or Muslim or Jewish or anything, or if you combine a little bit of everything into your own and whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what spirituality is. It's like she said, balance, being
Oh,
able to like
yeah.
just figure out what works for you, because not everyone is the same, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever works for you and helps you become the most positive, in tune, because I think spirituality has a lot to do with oneself as well, like being connected
Mm-hmm.
with yourself, not just with your thoughts, but also like your values, and just how you live your daily life as well. All
Mm-hmm.
of that goes into spirituality, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I also want to touch base back on what you said about the different religions as well. So definitely spirituality, it also gives you the freedom to pick little buckets of knowledge, like little pieces of knowledge from each religion. So you're not stuck in one religion. You're free to, choose to learn about different religions and pick and figure out what you value more and create your own values and sets of values based off of that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and when you think about like how we like are raised, especially in our community, in the Black community, is we kind of like are steered one way already. Like as
Yeah.
soon as you're a baby or like grown up in the community, you're steered one way. Like you go to church, you go to church every Sunday, Bible study every Wednesday, and then that's just normal stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not really the mindset of you having a choice of choosing what works best for you. It's you work around this and make it make sense for you.
Yeah.
You make it make sense for this.
You make the religion that you were born into make sense to you. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all the freedom you are given is, and most of the time Black people are indoctrinated into Christianity or Muslim practices and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
But
wrong with that at all.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with
but
that at all.
me personally, I had to step away from that and kind of choose to find and seek out what like God in my own way and stuff, and not the God that I was taught, because that didn't necessarily like it just didn't feel completely 100% me or feel right in some ways and stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to stay on that topic, that segues into our next question: who were you before your spiritual awakening? So you kind of, addressed it a little bit. That's how you was before. Did you want to expand on that, or you want me to go and then you go back?
I can go on it and stuff. So I mean, I would honestly say that I was just a normal girl, to be honest. Like just growing up in the church and stuff like that, constantly going to church. My grandma was she is a pastor now. She's an ordained minister. I mean, and but before she was an ordained minister, we would go to church like literally all the time. Every Sunday, I was in the choir. And then I also was an usher and stuff like that. At one point, I was on the praise team as well. So I was very heavily involved in the church. I think those are like my only real memories of church, and not necessarily like the teachings of church, because I tried to learn about it, what I'm saying, on my own time after I was baptized. Because before you get baptized in Shalom, you have to like go through this class. You got to read off the names of the Bible and stuff like that. And you just kind of learn the repetitive nature of it and stuff like that. You just got to remember it for that time being. You don't really learn anything. So then when I got older, I tried to learn on my own. And I was like, honestly, looking out in the church and trying to listen to the pastor. None of it clicked. None of it made sense. Honestly, it just all sounded like nothing. And so that was like kind of my first experience with Christianity not really making sense or being for me, I would say. And then did you want me to go on to I'll let you go next on.
I was similar the same way. Went to church every Sunday, Bible study every Wednesday. And I took the class and stuff before we got baptized. We went to the same church. Yeah. If y'all seen the first or second episode, whichever we talked about, y'all know that we went to the same church growing up.
Still didn't know each other at the time, but we was there.
Yeah, together. We went through the class was called confirmation. I think it was like three or four classes that you went to just to learn stuff like that. As you take the test and then you get baptized, stuff like that. Yeah, so the whole thing. Used to go to. In my life, church was very like it was very heavy in my life. I think my grandma made sure that, because after school program. Now I look back at it, after school program called Kids Place was in a church. It was a church like based after school program and stuff like that. I didn't really realize that because I just thought it was just some normal shit
after school program. And
but
stuff
it was a lot of my younger childhood and stuff like that was like around church. Like that after school program was Monday through Thursday.
So you wasn't active at all, like outside of just going.
Yeah, I mean, I did ushering and stuff like that when I got older, usher and stuff like that. But other than that, no. But that was just a lot of that stuff was normal to me. Praying was normal to me, which I still do. I feel like that's still, one like a universal thing that a lot of people can do to help connect themselves to whoever they're speaking to, like themselves, God, universe, whoever they, pray to. But a lot of that stuff was ingrained in me, like, and for me, it really wasn't like, it didn't resonate with me when I was a kid. It was more like, it was just like lessons. Because, you would hear about all the stories and stuff like that. And all of them really just are lessons on how to be like a good person. But when I was younger, I always asked my grandparents what they thought about what the Bible is. Like, is it just lessons that, at a young age, I feel like I was like 8 or 9, and my grandma and me was driving to church. I remember those church mornings, bro, where like your mom or my grandma, she would make like them little microwavable pancakes and then like put some bacon in the microwave and then just eat that and go to church. Like that was the whole thing we always used to do. And it always used to be a long ass line to get into Shalom.
Man, Shalom was popping.
Down what that street was, Lindbergh, all the way down the street. You had to wait in line just to get in there and stuff like that. So all that stuff was just like normal, just daily things.
We beat the line. We was there way before the line.
Oh yeah, we wasn't trying to get. Well, I mean, we ain't getting there early.
My grandma was a part of the ministry. Everybody in my family was a part of the ministry. Grandma, grandpa, my brother, and me. Like,
Hmm.
so we had to be there before everybody else.
Yeah, and I remember I used to always ask my grandma a certain question on what she thought the Bible meant to her and what she thought it was. And I told her, and this when I was like 9 years old, and I was like, yeah, I think the Bible is just really just like stories to
Learn
help
lessons from.
learn from to become like a better person in life. It's not enough. I didn't really think that it was based on actual people. I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
just like a book or like a group, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a blueprint. Which in
But
um,
that's crazy that you had that first thought so young, because I didn't. I thought that this was real people, real things that
well,
happened, and that's why it didn't make sense to me.
it's that crazy that thin line. You don't know what to think at
But
that age when you're asking questions, but you're
mhm.
also
But they in the church, they bring it to you as if these are real people,
I
as if these
mean,
are actual events that
I think
happen
these
and
men
stuff.
see that's the thing. You only know what you read. These could be real people, but we don't know
Hmm.
because it's just if you go by the history of like the church and stuff like that, the religion, it was always connected to like politics and control and
Hmm.
influence and like different things like that. Like if you know like the people monarchs are writing the Bible,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like all of it's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like maybe like an illusion or a facade or just like something like
Something
that.
to keep control, maintain order, and
Yeah,
stuff.
so that's what okay, so I'm going into my spiritual awakening side. Let me get before that time. Let
Yeah.
me get to
Let's
before.
stay on topic.
So because
But let's stay on topic of who we was before.
yeah, so I always had those questions in the back of my mind. But for a long time, especially even all the way up until like my sophomore year of college, I was very like
In the church and
in
stuff.
the church and Christian. I was even
Yeah.
the president of a Christian ministry on campus,
Crazy.
like at Mizzou, called the
Mm.
Impact Movement. I yeah, man, like that stuff. That's why I never looked. I don't talk down on people who are in other religion. I don't say that whatever you feel is wrong. Whatever works for you, because at that point in time in my life, that worked for me. Like
And
praying
yeah.
every day, reading a devotional, reading a little scripture every time I had a devotional. Like I was doing that every day,
Yeah.
and honestly, I felt very in tune with that during that time. But then you start. But my mindset was a little different. It wasn't. It was like all these things I'm taking in to help me now into my present day form, and
Mm.
it was just a lot of different things. Then you just study how it just at some point, which we're gonna get into, you figure out that a lot of stuff that you were taught or learned may not be what you think it is,
To
or
be.
you know what I'm saying. Just at some point, you're gonna have to like forget everything that you knew before because that shit may all be wrong, or it may just all be something else, or you know what I'm saying, like
So you
everything.
had a connection with like the religion and stuff like that in college and stuff. Growing up, as I got older and went to college, I still really didn't feel that connected with Christianity. Honestly, the only time that I feel got that close to it, to where you were at and stuff, where it was during COVID. So during the pandemic and stuff, I think I had a small, very small period of me having a Christian awakening, and that stayed. I sat in that for a small amount of time, to be honest, because then once I kind of started looking into Christianity and religion a little bit more, then that's when things started to open up, and
Hmm.
then I started learning about everything else. So I literally never really felt that connected to Christianity ever in my life. But don't get me wrong, me growing up in the church, I love the culture of it. I love how beautiful it can be most of the time. I love the community that it should and does bring most of the time. Um, but another reason why I couldn't really connect with the church and stuff is because it was not all of it was fake, but a lot of it was fake. So the community only lasted within the church. It only lasted for certain events. People, there was still drama within the church, and then you hear about like a lot of the sexual things that happen. Granted, none of that really happened in Shalom, but you hear outside in other churches, other Christian Baptist or Catholic churches and stuff, what's happening to young children. And then you wonder to yourself, like, okay, if God is all knowing, all powerful, and can stop bad things from happening, then why does he let these things happen to good people? You know? So that's kind of what like led into me starting my disconnection when I went to college. And then I guess when COVID happened and let me stop saying that word because before this get flagged and stuff. But when the pandemic happened, that's when I kind of got better because I was sick for a long time. And that pushed me into being hyper Christian. And we'll get into like my segue out of it, to be honest. But
that's the next question. How have you changed since?
So yeah, so I honestly say that the way that I was before and the way that I am now is two completely different stages, to be honest. Like I'm still her, but I think I don't want to say I don't care, but I just don't fixate too much on what's going on outside of me because things are not always as it seems. And some things are put in your line of vision to distract you, to draw your energy away from you, and to tear you down internally.
Yeah, everything I believe is a distraction. To jump off what you said, everything is distraction for you to not be in tune with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think spirituality is a very like individualistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It like because my spiritual awakening started when I look at the history of things, the history of religion, the history of how it was used,
Mm-hmm.
the history of like just how it was used as a tool when my ancestors were brought over
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking that, and I'm also talking about before slavery even like was a thing or came over on this side of the Western Hemisphere. I'm talking about before that, how religion was used in ways to control and have a connection with politics. You know, monarchs had a very, very heavy connection with the church because they knew the church is a big influencer. Because what does the church do? It gives you basically like a blueprint of how you should live your life or how you should want to live your life as a group of people. And like it also kind of goes down to the concept of herd or sheep mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Like humans, I feel like, in my opinion, have a natural instinct to form a group or click with whatever they like, form a group of whoever they feel like are in common with each other. So I think the church utilized the people, or people who want to be good, do good, and utilize that around them, and be like, these are how you should be. This is the type of person you should be. This is the thing you should do to be a good person in this world. And if you don't do these specific things or don't do stuff like that, then you're disrespecting religion, you're disrespecting yourself and stuff like that. Which
you should only stick with people who also have the same values as you,
people,
because that also goes with your sheep herd mentality. Because sheep come together to one common idea, and then they find their herd of people that also share that same idea and stuff like that. Because I've also seen videos online of people talking about if someone doesn't believe God in the same way that they do, they would never talk to them again. They would disconnect that entire relationship, friendship. And that's crazy, because somebody that you never know what type of lessons or what type of blessings or just relationship that could have how that could change your life, and you're disconnecting from a person because they don't completely follow the way of your spiritual life or religious life and stuff. Crazy.
And y'all know how our people, not just our people community, but church people in general.
Yeah.
How they can be like,
they turn their nose up.
They can be a little dismissive to other people that aren't Christian, or they feel like if they know, or if there's something else or something like that, then they may then they just look at them a certain type of way or stereotype them a certain type of way, which is also kind of going into the control thing with the divide and conquer concept. divide and conquer ain't always just between blacks and blacks or whites and blacks, stuff like that. It could be just a tactic to use with people who live amongst each other in general. Like
Cause
that whole thing, they're utilizing the human instinct to group together as a way for, okay, that's y'all group. Anybody that's not y'all group is bad. So divide and just stay separated like that.
So y'all never come together and never unionize or, actually fight for a cause and stuff. So yeah, I agree.
When I looked into like that type of history behind religion and stuff like that, it makes you question everything. Like, do I fall into that sheep mentality? Can I not think for myself? And not to say that people who are Christians are sheep or people who are Muslims are sheep or anything like that. It's just,
or anybody who follows any religion are sheep.
Yeah, because there's some people who are very inclusive who are in any community. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people like that. It's just is what works for you personally in your life, and don't try to condemn other people for what they feel like works for them. Because I know some people who don't feel comfortable, like myself, pinning ourselves down to just one religion. If you feel like I respect Muslims because they're super disciplined, they're super polite, you know what I'm saying? They're very goal oriented, focused, super strict. Not strict, but disciplined. I like that aspect of them. But certain things that they do that it just doesn't work for me as far as me feeling spiritually connected, charged within myself and around me. But there's certain things that they do that I like, that I utilize in my own life. And there's other things that other people and other spiritualities do that I like as well, and I feel like works for me. And I just don't feel like I have to put myself in one group and say, nah, whatever they don't do doesn't work. Because I don't believe that. I think that you know what I'm saying? Everyone has something that works.
Okay. So the next question is, what exactly is spiritual psychosis, and how did it show up in me? Like, that was a question more so for me, and how we have seen it shown up in others and stuff. So that's a question that he can answer as well. So personally, I feel like spiritual psychosis is basically when you are so heavily submerged in your idea of what you follow that you start to basically assume that everything that is happening in the outside world is a direct reflection of that. Like, these things are happening because it's the end of days. These things are happening because these people are doing it. These things are happening because of other people. Like, you're putting a lot of energy into things being altered or influenced and stuff, and it's wreaking havoc on your brain. Because there's nothing wrong with thinking or knowing that something isn't right and people are having influence over stuff. But when you let it control your mind, make you panicky, make you manic, sad, angry, and then you start going off the rail, then that's the spiritual psychosis, especially if it's constant and ongoing and whatnot. And I can honestly say that's what happened to me during the pandemic. Yeah. So around that time where I was like heavily Christian and stuff, and I was doing research and whatnot, what Christian has said about, figuring out the psychology around religion and how it was used to indoctrinate people, keep people controlled and stuff. Yes, I fell down that rabbit hole, but I also fell down another rabbit hole as well about how the people at the top, elites and people of money, don't actually follow these religious practices that they push in their politics or in their company. Like, if something is heavily Christian based or heavily religious based and stuff like that, a lot of times they don't follow those practices and they actually worship something a little bit more demented or darker. And I was getting exposed to a lot of that. And I saw a lot of different videos that kind of scared me and changed my entire perception of people at the top, changed my entire perception of the long list of missing people and children that we see every single year. So because of that, and because I also was reading articles about, human trafficking and organ harvesting and farms and stuff like that, birthing farms and stuff, that's what had led to the spiritual psychosis. That's what kind of led me into giving up on religion and then moving towards spirituality so I can figure out what was actually good for me, good for my spirit, good for my mind and soul, and figuring out the truth. And in the midst of figuring out the truth, I found out too much and I found some really dark stuff. And that's kind of what led into spiritual psychosis because I then did not know what to believe anymore. Like Chris had said, you get brought up a certain way, you get brought up to think a certain way and to believe that history is what it is. And this was the influence of it. But then you found out other things that were the influence of it and how people with the money at the top played both sides and basically funded, both of the, like they funded the war because they were on both sides. They funded um, civil rights things that happened in, the 60s, 70s, or whatever the hell. I don't know. I'm just talking at this point. They funded civil rights actions and movements and stuff like that because they wanted to play both sides because of whatever the reason was, to be honest. And I think when I found that out, that's when my mind broke a little bit and I did not know what to think anymore. That's what led to my spiritual psychosis. And then on top of that, because of the pandemic, people trying to kill us. I was thinking that like the new cell phone towers, 5G and stuff like that was making me sick. Like it was a really dark time, to be honest. Like I went off on a tangent, manic episodes pretty frequently. It wasn't to the point where I wasn't hurting people, but I was hurting myself because I was constantly scared, constantly anxious, constantly thinking too fucking much. And when you're thinking that hard and you're that anxious, it spot like you hit a crash sometimes. And thankfully I did not have to go to a doctor. I didn't have to get any medication and stuff like that. I was able to pull myself out of it, but that's what spiritual psychosis is. You get so like submerged in all this dark knowledge that you're finding in something that it consumes you and you feel like you have to save people and you feel like you have to tell everybody everything you're learning and every learning because some of the stuff is not true and stuff. You have to decipher what's real and what's fake. And yeah.
Yeah. So, how this affected the relationship during that time when she was going through all that? I mean, I've went through something like that before with my first girlfriend. It wasn't really spiritually, but it was just a lot of things in her life that was going on to where, you know, she just felt like she was going, maybe not a little crazy, but she just had a lot of stuff at a young age, a lot of stress. So I kind of understood what it felt like being a partner in that situation, and it could be very draining. It could be very what's the word? You feel kind of guilty because like after a certain amount of time, you're like, man, it's like
It's never ending when
it's
it's gonna
never
stop.
ending, and you start not to care. You don't want to feel like you don't care about the person that you care about or in a relationship with. So, I mean, I just knew that in my first relationship that it kind of drove a wedge between us, and I didn't want this to do that with us. So that's why we took that break. Broke up for that year and a half just because we both, well, I knew and she knew that, we just didn't have the energy for that for each other. And really, when you're going through something like that, you should really be like on your own, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because it's your own journey. And whoever's there seeing you do that, they could be there for your support. But after a certain amount of time, that support can definitely become draining, and you may even not like be like a burden, but like
I think that's a good word to use.
yes, it's a burden, and yeah, you just if you love somebody, you should know that they need to go through that on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I wasn't gonna be dealing with that for long, so that's why we broke up. Like maybe like
I
a month after she was starting to do that, and I
I
was
don't
like,
think
yeah,
I was that heavy into it though. Around the time we broke up, when I was coming down.
no.
I would say I still was in it. Don't get me wrong, yeah, and I still had a lot of stuff to figure out and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but
You thought you were
I
coming
wasn't.
down?
I wasn't as manic. I wasn't as manic.
I think my experience, from my point of view, you were pretty manic.
Oh, okay, well.
So that's just how from my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Never mind, then.
So why did I stay? Why did I
Yeah,
stay
why
with
did you
who?
stay
With who?
with me? Like,
We
why'd you
broke up.
stay?
What you talking about?
You could have left sooner. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, you stay because
And that's what.
you stay because everyone goes through, when you're in a relationship, everyone goes through a tough time. You don't just leave every time someone goes through a tough time. That just don't make sense to me. I mean, that's just being a partner. But at a certain time, a certain amount of time, you see that it's not changing or it's gonna, be this for a while. Then you gotta think for yourself at some point. You know what I'm saying? At some point, it's about your health, your mental as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, relationship is give and pull. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can only give 70 to 80% for so long. Like, at some point, you have to think about yourself. That's why. Honestly, I could have stayed a lot longer, but it would have negatively affected me more. So, I feel like I left at a pretty good time. I don't know.
Well, we parted ways at a good
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
I don't think it. You stay because you're in a relationship with somebody who's going through a rough time. I just think that's just one of those things. Oh yeah. What advice would you give someone who's involved?
Well, hold on.
Sorry, you guys are
So,
getting some technical stuff together.
so I didn't touch on how me getting out of it and stuff like that. I don't think
What?
I didn't touch on me. You okay?
No, I'm trying. Which question are you talking about?
The fourth one. Yeah, how hard was it to get out of that spiritual psychosis and back to feeling like yourself? What did you do to get out of it? So, um, now I'm gonna get into like me pulling myself out of that rut and that like deep dark space that I was in and getting back to myself. And basically I had to stop consuming that information because when you start getting into it, it's like a dopamine rush and it's kind of like an addiction, just like food is an addiction, sugar or drugs is an addiction and stuff. Your brain gets hooked on the information you're learning and or you're finding. I need to stop saying learning. You get hooked on it and it's like a drug and you keep searching for it at that point. You keep searching for that next hit in a way. So I had to stop consuming it because a lot of stuff was crazy. So I had to stop consuming it and that's what helped me come out of it and not to completely go crazy and stuff like that or stay there. And then I also found people who helped me as well. They gave me really good advice. They were people who also went through that type of spiritual awakening as well. And they taught me how to use discernment and pick and choose like what to like speak on and stuff. And now I can honestly say that I'm not the same anymore. I'm not back to my old self because I do still believe in conspiracy theories. Some of this weird stuff that you see like floating online. My mind is opened. My mind is opened to an extent of if I see something or hear about something, I'm not going to completely 100% deny that that's something that cannot happen because I've seen videos of things that have happened and anything is possible. The mind and the lengths people will go to feel that rush again, to feel alive or to, you know what I'm saying? I don't completely close off my mind to the possibilities of something being true. So that's how I'm not the same anymore. And now, yes, I use discernment, but I do still, I just, and I just basically don't talk about it as much anymore. So if there's something that's going on or something that I see and it make something click in my mind, I just don't bring it up, to be honest. Like I talk to myself and I talk myself down out of it, or I'll like share with him and stuff, because a lot of times it has something to do with aliens and conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Anyways, and to talk about conspiracy theories is fun and interesting because you kind of get to see what someone else thinks about a situation and stuff like that. So my mind is not completely there where it was during the pandemic, but I will say that I'm not the same. And I don't speak on everything because I now have discernment. And yeah, my mind is just a little bit more open. So, and I think that's what kind of helps me to not be affected by all this stuff that's going around in the news and on TV and stuff like that, because I know that a lot of it is a distraction or just not real.
Okay. Um, how many people do you think go through stuff like this all the time
A lot.
and don't bring it up? I think
I think a lot of people bring it up first and then they stop. A lot of people go through spiritual psychosis. I've seen so many people have manic episodes online. I'm not the only one.
yeah, I don't know why people I think people go through like struggles with figuring out what they believe in and stuff like that all the time. I mean, because as the day goes on, as things happen, your views on things change.
I've seen a Christian go crazy, and basically say the end of times is here because of the
People say,
horses and the symbolism in the celebrities, music and performances and stuff like that, and them saying like, I saw this black woman in her closet, and if you are on TikTok as heavy as I am, you know what I'm talking about. This woman was in her closet and she was literally bawling her eyes out, crying. And I'm thinking something is really happening. I'm thinking a freaking event just happened that I didn't know about, and that was her spiritual psychosis.
I think that's just all. I think all that stuff is a tool to make people to have people who are unstable like freak out. Like I think the people who are on the internet or people who are the propaganda know what's going on, so they're feeding into people like who are they're feeding into that idea because people have been saying the world's going to end since the beginning of time.
Man, I remember in the early 2000s, people were saying
like,
it's going to end.
People are feeding into. I think they're just feeding into those people who are like, you don't have to go crazy just to change how you think. Like, I feel like that's crazy. Like, I think that's a whole different thing. I don't know if that's like. I think that's why this. It's a very important thing for you to understand what you believe in and figure out what you believe in, but I just don't understand. Like, I think all the like recording, like yourself and all that stuff is not pure because it's not. It's supposed to be very individual. It's supposed to be within yourself. You're supposed to have that shit within yourself. And if like people see, especially media, if they see people are all on the internet talking about the world's ending, all these things, all these different things, what you think they're gonna do? They're gonna push stuff to make you feel that even more, to push that thought in yourself. But I think all that is kind of outside stuff that doesn't like okay, the world's ending. There's horses on the thing, but what does that have to do with you and your life? And how does that make you what does that make you? What does that have to do with what you believe in and how that makes you a better person?
Well, I mean, some people, like you said, you grow up in church, you read the Bible, and then the Bible tells you about certain indications that the world is going to end, which is the chariot of the three different horses, locusts, famine, drought, a sea of blood. You see all these different things, and I'm not completely saying that what you're saying is wrong, because they could most definitely be pushing these stories and showcasing it to make these people who believe these things go manic and go crazy. Yes, but
You gotta understand where I'm coming from. The historical thing, all that stuff is written in the book for that purpose. So that's why, you know what I'm saying?
So this is going back to what you originally said.
It's for that purpose. Like,
okay,
that stuff was written hells ago, but this is the modern way to make it still make sense for people now.
Yeah.
To control, like, that's what I'm thinking.
So that's a religious psychosis. I think I need to use different terms then. So that's a religious psychosis. What what we're talking about then,
I
and then
thought we were
my
talking about.
spirit. No, it's all the same. It definitely is all the same. But the religious psychosis is them believing that the world is going to end based off of the text that was used to control and manipulate, like you said. And then the spiritual psychosis that I was talking about a little bit, which they still go hand in hand, is you seeing the opposite of all that. You seeing the dark stuff, and that's skewing your mind, and one making you no longer believe in religion, but also, having you see a different light of people and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I
but this situation with that girl, that was more so a religious psychosis because she believed in those events and those different things and symbolisms that were happening and thought it correlated to the end of the
I
world.
also believe that there's genuinity in those recordings are kind of placed out the door because you either have to hold the camera or place it right there before you even start recording. Like that instance alone.
So you think it's disingenuous?
It takes the disingenuity, whatever the word is, out of it. Like that's what we learn in film. Like
so to sit your phone up and record,
nothing on camera is real. As soon as you turn record, the acting and the face and everything is the set is manipulated. This is manipulated. What we're saying is manipulated. Like the true person of what they is. As soon as that camera turns on, that true person is not there anymore. It's for like
interesting.
It's for viewership. It's for what you feel like who's gonna watch it is gonna respond to it. It's not who you are. You know what I'm saying? If you have to stop crying for what you're doing, stop yourself from crying, put a camera up, and then start again, it's not, in my opinion, it's not genuine. You know what I'm saying? Everything is staged on camera. That's what you learn in film. So, like,
wow, that's interesting.
That's what it is. That's why nothing on camera is on accident in film or in TV. Nothing happens on accident. Even all the way down to having to edit. Like when you're editing, when they're looking at the video, they have to see themselves doing it again. And it's like, oh, maybe they took another take of them crying.
And you know what? That's crazy because if I was to, because let's say that girl filming those 3 videos that she did in her closet, let's just say that, before she posted that one, she definitely looked at it and listened to it and made sure it sounded exactly how she wanted to sound. At no point during that entire time did she think, dang, I should probably just delete this because this don't, I don't know. I just couldn't do it.
At no point does that have to do with anything spiritual. At no point it has anything with her spiritual connection have to do with any of what she just did with that.
It's spiritual because she wants to save people. It's spiritual because it connects with, like, it's spiritual and religious because it connects with what she believes. She believes that the end of the world is going to happen. Just like a lot of people believe that all these different things are going on and they want to warn people. They just, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you pressing record and making information known to others and stuff like that. But what is wrong is scaring people and constantly putting out that type of rhetoric, because that is spiritual psychosis and religious psychosis.
So what you think she brought? What do you think that
person? It scared people.
Exactly. So she's a part of the problem. She's a part of everything. She's doing the same thing that they want her to do. That's what they want her to do. They're doing it for her. She's doing it for them.
Yeah.
She's doing it for them.
And you know what? That kind of makes me think about like a lot of the spiritual people that I follow online that I actually had to unfollow because that is their entire rhetoric. That is, I think the thing is about to stop actually. Well, let me just do it until it stops. But that is their entire platform and identity online, is them talking about all this conspiracy stuff, talking about all the things that are wrong, all the things that are weird that are going on, and keep your third eye open and all that stuff, instead of encouraging people to just go within, practice their own form of religion or spirituality, and become this better person and stuff.
Yeah, and there may be some people out there who's really organically trying to do that, but don't try to act like you over here crying on the camera. Who knows how many times she probably, you know what I'm saying? Like, whenever there's a camera involved, it's just the disingenuous aspect of it raises is not. It's all anything on camera is intentional. That's why they say like the truest form of like actually getting what people like are actually feeling, doing their true selves is only during surveillance when they don't know there's a camera around. That's the only time you'll get a true person.
Hmm. Interesting. I thought you were going to say photos.
No surveillance. Like say if there was cameras in here and we didn't know, they would see our true selves because we don't think there's a camera out here
Mm-hmm.
for us to put on
Mm-hmm.
that face. Just to wrap it up real quick, I think your values are very important. It all connects to how you feel spiritually. And currently, on my journey, uh, in my spiritual journey, I feel like I am. I know what I believe in. Is just about doing more practice in what I believe in and where I stand on things and
Mm-hmm.
feeling comfortable with that. So I feel comfortable where I'm at spiritually and what I believe in and um, everything that I've been through to this point to make me to affirm what I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being more practical, like doing more like what I was doing back in when I was younger. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, well, I pray every day for sure. I pray every day for sure. Um, Probably like doing more gratitude and more probably like some devotions and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just I understand what the Bible and Christianity is to me, and what that is. I can take the meat and leave the bone for that, and I can understand what the Muslim religion is for me and my family, and I can take the meat and the bones from that and some other things. You know what I'm saying? And just create mine. So I know certain aspects of each one of those things that helps me become, be the best version of me. It's all about just doing it more.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm identified, but I need to practice a little more.
I say the same. I honestly have my own beliefs about like life and God and who God is um to me, and I already have my values instilled pretty much cuz I'm not a vindictive evil or, you know, jealous person. I am a very loving, caring, want to see everybody win type of person, and I really do instill that in like my everyday practices when I meet people and all that kind of stuff. And my view of God and who they are to me, that's pretty much instilled. Um, I do just need to. I would just like to learn a little bit more of different religions, though, uh, in my journey, so I can, I guess, so just further add on to what I already have solidified in my belief and stuff. Because if I don't want to just learn from people that look like me. I want to learn from like completely other races and ethnicities of people and their ancient view of God or present view of God and stuff. Um, that's what I would like to do in my journey. And Chris is, like he said, he does pray a lot and stuff. I do want to get into praying a little bit more, meditating more and stuff. I think I get so wrapped up in work and doing things outside of that that I end up making that like the last thing, to be honest, which is bad. And I would honestly say that it's a struggle of being spiritual because when you are spiritual, the responsibility is solely on you to create that connection with God and create those habitual practices that you continue to do every single day, as opposed to relying on the church, relying on this physical place that you go to every week or twice a week and stuff like that to do your due diligence. That's been one of the hard parts. I've created my church in a sense in our second bedroom and stuff like that with my altar. I just need to be better and more proactive at doing what Chris does, which is making that time for it. Um, so yeah.
What has been the most difficult thing that you dealt with on your in your spiritual journey? I would say for me, it wasn't like really coming to the realization that everything that you probably have been taught was kind of wrong, or everything that you taught was not what you thought it was, or that it was used differently or using this type of way, I kind of already kind of felt that way. So that wasn't really hard for me. It was kind of being comfortable with that with my family, I guess I would say. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
because my family is like
Muslim, Christian,
yeah, like
Baptist.
they, you know what I'm saying, like it's either that way or if you're lost if you don't believe in that, you know what I'm saying, or they think you got something going on, or you just don't know what's going on. So if you don't tie into one of these, then sometimes my family members think that you may not know what you want or you be lost, and that was something that I had to deal with because sometimes you'll be like, damn, am I lost? Am I just kind of like all over the place? Am I just not disciplined enough to join one? But then it's like, nah, at the end of the day, it's about what makes you the best version of yourself and what makes you the best person. And you can tell when someone's in line just how their spirit is. They're freer, they're lighter, and stuff like that. So I just had to get over that. That's probably the toughest thing.
I'm piggyback on that and say the same thing because, most difficult thing is creating that routine and sticking to your guns because, like he said, when you're around family, and it's not even family. To be honest with me, it's not even just them. Sometimes when I'm around my family's friends, and because my friends already know how I am, so they don't question anything. But when I'm around other people and they ask me these deep questions and stuff, and I tell them the truth of how I actually believe and stuff, they make me question what I believe. And sometimes I have to reel it back and be like, dang, am I, stupid for thinking this way? Or am I crazy for thinking this way? But then there are other things that confirm, like, no, I'm on the right path. Me being where I am and choosing to trust in God the way I do is right for me. So that definitely has been a difficult aspect, is because you don't have to prove to anybody that you know what you're talking about or that what you believe is correct. Because even if you don't believe in anything or you don't know what to believe in, that is still correct because it's your life. You get to figure out how you want to live it or what you want to believe in. You don't have to follow down the same path as everybody else just because they seem to have it together because they're in something. They're in a group.
Yeah, who is someone to say that you're wrong or what they think is right and what you think is wrong? As long as whatever you believe in or whatever you do helps you become a better person, helps you become more one with yourself, and just a positive impact
In your
on the
community
people
stuff.
around you, bro. It doesn't. Who's to say who is to say that what that is wrong? Like fuck that. Like who like no one. There's very few things that can be universally like applied to life.
Yeah. Everything you said, I agree with that. I do. Very little things that you can honestly say that everything will be true at once. But
Yeah.
but moving on. So Chris put together like this little activity that we're gonna do of
Some
how we're going
visuals.
to split up
The pie of ourselves.
Yeah. I think you should definitely explain this instead of me trying to read off and explain it.
No, it's basically like how you have a pie graph and you have different things that you split up. So you have 100%. So crisp pie graph.
So yeah, we got 100%, and the things that we're going to kind of like deviate into our pie graph, I guess. Some examples could be
value.
Yeah, things that we value could be our spiritual identity, physical appearance, health, financial stability, family bonds, healthy relationship, etc. So
Yeah, positive, healthy mental friendships, individual goals, dreams, motivations, individual likes and stuff like that. Yeah. So we got 100%. I'm gonna put all the category stuff on the bottom left, so y'all know how we splitting it up.
Interesting, because I don't know. I should have thought about this beforehand.
One day later.
I'm gonna get up and show y'all mine because I scribbled a lot out. I was changing up so much. I could just go.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the most to the least. So the most is 30%. Um, I do have that as goals and dreams. I could change that. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go based off of what I just wrote out. So yeah, goals and dreams 30%. Then 20% is financial stability. 15% is family and friend bonds. 15% is spiritual identity. 10% is physical appearance and health, and 5% is individual likes. So that's me. And I think I put goals and dreams as like the most because me and Chris was just talking about this earlier today about me feeling like stuck or stifled, working on 9 to 5 and stuff. In the end, like I crave being and doing what I'm supposed to be here doing. What I was put here for, you know, and not just passing time by working a mundane job that doesn't align with my spirit and goals and stuff like that. So it is my dream, my ultimate dream, to be living the life that I want to live, I aspire to live, or that is my true destiny, to be honest. So yeah. And from that, I do believe financial stability will come. And so I think that's probably why I put that as the next highest. And friends and family bonds is next because obviously they help support you. My spiritual identity also supports those goals and dreams of mine and the financial stability. Uh, and then my appearance. I do care about how I look. And I'll just leave it at that.
All right, cool. Bet. Here's mine. Mine is probably not as artistic
Mine was terrible too.
type. All right. So I got 25% individual goals and dreams, motivations.
Okay.
It's my highest.
Okay, so we were about the same.
Second highest is health, with 20%. This other 20% is financial stability. The other 10 is family and friend bond. Another 10 is appearance. Another 10 is healthy relationship with me and you.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 is spiritual identity. So, spiritual identity is the least just because I feel like a lot of that could be something I do on a day to day as well. So it's just how I become, it's just all around. But I think everything's split out in a good way. These are probably the most important things to me. So it may seem like they're small on the pie graph, but they mean a lot to me. So um, it's still very important. This is what makes up my values as a person. So these are very important.
Dang, I should have put health a little further up. I only have it at 10%. There definitely should have been at least 20.
Well, don't make me change how you feel.
Because I do care about my health and stuff. But
yeah. Health is wealth, motherfucker.
Yeah, health is wealth, to be honest. But oh well, that's what I thought about first, to be honest, was my goals and dreams and financial stability.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
All right. Interesting little activity. To where you see where you at,
where your mind is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we wanted to just briefly, talk about our trip that we had this past couple weeks ago, 4th of July. We went, it's an annual thing that my family goes down to Louisiana. That's where they're from.
Louisiana,
Louisiana, which is close to New Orleans, stuff like that. It's the country, the real life country.
Real.
And sometimes when we get a chance to go out there, we go out there. Especially since we moved to Houston, we're a lot closer. We could drive there. It's less than 6 hours away. It's like 5 hours away. And it was a good time. I had a good time. Yeah. We was in a good Airbnb
for New Orleans and stuff. Honestly, for not even just for New Orleans, Airbnb for when we was actually in Wisner too.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
the Wisner.
When I thought of Airbnb, I immediately thought of New Orleans. So my bad.
Yeah, so Airbnb was nice. It did give scary movie vibes,
just a little bit,
definitely, because it gave off that when kids or people, because it was me, it was me and Deja, my brother and his girl, and my cousin and his girl and his little brother. So it was all of us. So it just felt like everyone was in like a cabin. It was in the middle of nowhere, some cornfields, stuff like
Yeah.
that. People could like try to sneak in and stuff like
It
that.
got real dark. It gets really dark in the country. So.
Yeah, and she swears she heard somebody running up the steps and stuff like that. But
And it wasn't just me. Sarah, which is his cousin's, his brother. He calls him his brother. His brother's girlfriend. She heard the same thing when she was there by herself. It only happens when you're there by yourself. And I told him to go ahead and stay at that place by himself as well, and he'll hear it too. But he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So for him to be trying to make it seem like it didn't happen, it happened. I heard the pitter patter of feet stomping up and down the steps.
Yeah, usually when people stuff happens to them in scary movies, is because they put themselves in situations. I wasn't gonna put myself in a situation for something to happen.
Me and Sarah didn't put ourselves in no situation. We were just there chilling. Yeah. I was doing my makeup and I heard something.
Yeah, and I'm not just gonna be there by myself. So the 4th of July trip, we went to Wisdom. Then New Orleans was nice. The hotel was nice as hell.
Man,
Emma was right on downtown New Orleans. He's gonna nice ass view.
He's gonna insert a video for y'all to see, like the view of it and stuff. How high up we was. It was really nice. Really, really, really nice.
All right.
What?
You always telling them that you go. I'm gonna insert a video and stuff like that. I don't got the video.
I sent you the video.
All right, we go. I'm gonna see if I got it.
But, I literally sent it to him so he can show his coworkers. You got it.
Yeah, so we'll send you put a little in the little thing in the video. Yeah, we came back to our first hurricane, but we weren't here for the first hurricane. Rosanna was here by herself.
Man,
she'll be all right.
Probably going crazy.
She'll be all right. I ain't see any shit or piss or throw up anywhere when we got back, so she was okay.
That's good.
Yeah, so came back. It was a ghost town. We didn't have power for fucking weekend, like some days, but yeah, that's just one of the things you're gonna have to deal with being down here in the South in Houston, hurricanes and stuff like that, and
I thought it
the
was
weak power grid, weak power system and stuff like that, and just like it's something you got to deal with every place you move to, and you're gonna have to deal with something. But
I'm not gonna lie, I thought you was only gonna deal with hurricanes when you went to the bays. I mean, when you went to the coast, the ends of the coast.
This is basically the coast.
We're down. Like, I didn't know that. I just assumed the far west or the far east, so Florida, California. I thought those were the only places that you was gonna experience hurricanes. And I know, goddamn, Texas, but now I know.
Yeah, it's all around the South gets
yeah.
It's hurricanes, but it was definitely definitely an experience. It was kind of like Armageddon out here a little bit.
It was.
I didn't realize, there was gas stations that was closed down because of the power. I was driving around on E trying to find the nearest gas station that actually pumped gas that worked. And once you got to the gas station that finally worked, it was packed with people trying to get gas. There was fights. I was like, bro, you be like, as soon as one little thing, like we are so like humans are such like fucking sheep that a minor inconvenience or some shit that doesn't have anything that controls what we do, we turn into fucking animals.
Yeah.
Like the stoplights don't work anymore, so we have to choose. Like we have to actually like time moving and stuff like that. People, I
ain't gonna fake it. I feel like that was pretty decent. Like, yes, people act crazy out here and stuff, but every time I was driving, I felt like that was organized. I felt like everybody drove when they was supposed to and took, I feel like that the people governed themselves pretty well. Now, as far as like the gas, I don't know about that because that does sound crazy as hell.
Your experience is different from mine because motherfuckers was almost getting into accidents all over the place because some people, for some reason, some people don't know that the person to your right has the right of way, and then you just go in a circle. Like the dude to the right of you goes, and that person to his right goes, and that person to his right goes. Then it's you. But people don't understand that. I guess that's just not common knowledge or anything like that.
Yeah,
people was fighting at the gas station because people was cutting in front of people because it was long ass lines. People was fighting in the gas station, stuff like that. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. Real ghetto.
But nonetheless, we made it through our first one, and hopefully we don't have to have another one anytime soon. But if so, we're gonna try and be a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, we're gonna
So,
be a
yeah.
little bit more prepared. But yeah, that's the episode. We dove deep into some things, real important topic, real in depth topic that I mean people talk about, but don't really talk about other aspects of it, how it changed them as a person,
Yeah.
or like how their opinions differ from others. So it was good. I'm glad y'all.
It's done.
All right, no, it was good.